Okie dokie. I've been terrified of TikTok for years, but I am finally facing that fear. I'm an old school YouTuber who is comfortable with long form content, and platforms like TikTok and then Reels and all of it just scares me. I'm uncomfortable, I'm overwhelmed and confused. So I'm finally joining the short form trend, the short form wagon, years late, very late, but better late than never. And at the beginning of this year, having taken a lot off of my plate at the end of last year, I suddenly found myself with a lot more time, and also just like the creative juices were flowing. I was feeling motivated and excited about making content on social media, whereas previously there was no physical time in the calendar and there was no brain space time to do that either. So I hired a TikTok expert to help me with my TikTok strategy. But first we need some context in how we got here. Why am I doing this? Who have I hired? What is going on? One of my goals at the beginning of this year was to be more active on social media. I was feeling enthusiastic and positive about my relationship with social media. The main kind of driving force behind this goal was around like having fun, reconnecting with my community online, and creativity, just like challenging myself and trying new ways of making content and connecting with my audience. And I also just wanted to find TikTok and short form content in general less scary. And I knew in order to do that, I just had to do it. I just had to crack on and make it something that I was familiar with, rather than this like mysterious unknown that felt untouchable and unknowable. And I did this at the beginning of this year by myself. I was posting a lot. I was posting like every day, 5 days a week, because who posts on Fridays and Saturdays? Like those are the days, at least for me, in terms of engagement. So I was posting every day on Instagram, a lot of Reels, and then everything that I posted on Reels, I also then shared on TikTok as well. And I did that consistently for like 2 months. And I had a lot of fun. I was really enjoying it. My followers weren't growing, that's fine, but I was getting like higher engagement and also just like feeling like a bit more involved in the whole creative process and in connecting with my audience online. But I then ran out of steam, because posting every day on social media for 2 months is a lot, and it was a lot more than what I was used to. And at some point you're gonna run out of ideas and you're gonna just like slowly like grind to a halt. So that's kind of what happened to me. But also around this time, my friend Lucy had sent in our group chat that I have with her and Lena, this TikTok of this woman who is a TikTok expert, and she was doing a TikTok strategy for Zoe Sugg. Now Zoe isn't on TikTok, but she was like, if Zoe were to be on TikTok, like this is what I would recommend for her to do. Like these are her content pillars, this is her main audience, like this kind of content would work really well for her. Broke it all down, had this whole document, had all of this data, and I was like, I love it. I want this woman to do the same thing for me. And this woman turned out to be Kiara, who works with Alice at Alice's company Gratified, and they do TikTok strategy for people. And so I reached out to them and was like, can you help me? And they said yes. And they have an 8-week TikTok consulting coaching program that they do. So I was like, I'll take it. Full disclaimer here, I paid Alice and Kiara for their services, but they did give me a slight discount on the rate because I was going to be mentioning them, of course, in this video. So if you are interested in finding out more about them and what they do, I'll leave a link in the description. And thank you very much, ladies, for the discount. So the reasons why I decided to bring on a TikTok expert was, one, obviously for this video, I kind of thought that behind the scenes of the whole process would be interesting to document, but also I wanted to get that steam back. I wanted to get the ball rolling again. I wanted to get that momentum back in terms of creating. I wanted some structure to hold me accountable to actually create stuff, post. So if I was paying someone and I had to like show up to weekly meetings and be like, I did some things, that's very helpful for accountability. And I also just wanted to learn from the experts about the platform and strategies and the culture on TikTok, because I feel like I know Instagram fairly well, and I could have continued just like making content as I do on Instagram and then just also posting it on TikTok, but I was curious to know like specifically what works on TikTok. How does TikTok function? So buckle in for some data, chats about social media, and me having multiple crises about what it is that I actually care about. Like I said, I did receive their professional services at a discounted rate, but everything that you're going to see in this video is my honest opinion. I wanted to share it with you like a video diary, a vlog, if you will, of the whole process. So let's go. I'm about to have my first call with Kiara, and beforehand they sent over like a questionnaire for me to fill out, which I did last night, and it was hard. It's basically just like one of those things where you have to define your brand and your social media, what are your missions, what are your goals, like who your audience, what's the vibe, what kind of content you make and why. It feels like most of what I've put, like when I was really thinking about it and trying to come up with answers, is that it's all about community for me. I'm trying to like get back to the roots of why the hell did I start making YouTube videos in the first place? Like I've been on this whole journey with YouTube as a career and everything, and I'm just stripping it back and I'm just like having fun again. It's a creative outlet and it's a means of connection. Like that to me, it feels like what the core of it is. And it's interesting like trying to answer some of these questions, because there's definitely like in the way that this form is filled out and what the questions are saying is that there needs to be some sort of like business financial goals, which fair enough. And like, yes, to an extent that is true for me, because like this is still a part of my job. But with TikTok, especially for me, my main goals are to like not overthink it, to have fun, to actually figure out like a bit of a process and a workflow and a routine with it, rather than just kind of like always panicking about it or like scrambling. Just like the way that making these YouTube videos is just like so second nature to me. Like I'm in the routine, like I know what the schedule is, like it's not hard for me to like motivate myself to make these videos. And I would love just to like get that level of confidence with TikTok. Obviously it takes years. I've been doing this for like 13 years. So it takes a while. But questions like, what problems does your brand solve for your followers? If no problem solving, how are you entertaining them? How am I entertaining you guys? Why do social media followers choose you? What is unique and individual about you? I mean, not much, I don't think. Yeah, and then things like goals and what is it? Oh, also like who are your competitors and what is it that they do really well and that you like what they do. I don't really have a lot to go off here. I just kind of like mentioned a few people that I follow. I don't know. But one of the things that they said in the email that we're going to go over in our kickoff meeting today is just some initial data around my TikTok account, because I have been posting fairly regularly since the beginning of this year. And so there is some stuff to go off there. There is some content there for data to be gathered about, and I'm genuinely so curious about what they're gonna say. You're doing it all wrong. No, this is just like a very fun experiment for me, and also an excuse for me to like push myself a little bit further, take TikTok a bit more seriously, and just see what happens. Like this 8 weeks needs to be like a priority of actually scheduling it in, because this kind of is built-in accountability for me, where I didn't really have that before. And then hopefully with that accountability built in, I get into a bit of a routine with it. And then at the end of it, I can keep going all by myself. Or I just decide TikTok's not for me. But I am having an okay time on the app as a whole, and a fairly good time, like a pretty good time creating my own stuff for it. Like those are two different experiences, the creator and the consumer. But yeah, let's do it. Let's do it! Ooh, okay, just got off the call with Kiara. Don't have long until I need to go pick up Rowan from his childminders, but I'm feeling pumped. I'm feeling excited about TikTok. Okay,
So she had this whole document ready for me in terms of like analyzing my entire brand with like ideas for like what my content pillars will be and like specific video ideas within them. It got a lot of the ideas juices flowing, which is very exciting. And actually there's a short form video that I need to put out tomorrow that I haven't edited yet, and her idea for like how I should frame it and how I should edit it together was just like so much better than what I had planned. So I'm just like, this is what I'm paying you for. But yeah, my kind of like brand persona that we're gonna currently be running with is that I'm like an old school influencer, toddler mum who started a new business. And then those are kind of gonna be some of the main pillars, and some of the other stuff that I may or may not, we'll see how this goes, kind of make content about on TikTok, gonna be like kind of a lot of mum adjacent stuff, especially like around like friendships and relationships when you're a parent, and then also obviously still doing a lot of like fashion stuff, but just like as little on me. So yeah, I'm excited. I think the thing that I'm worried about is actually like finding the time to like make this content, because your girl's got a big schedule, but this is why I'm doing this, because it's the accountability. And then she ran through some kind of like TikTok best practices thing. And like, interestingly, because I'm no expert on TikTok, she said that kind of like using trending sounds and adding your own spin on them is just not like a way to grow necessarily. And I'm actually really glad she said that, because that's like what I was trying to do. Like, I would be watching TikTok, I would see all these sounds, I'd be like, oh, how do I do that? What's my version of that? And it was really stressing me out trying to think of something that was like original and unique related to that trending sound. And her saying like, don't bother, so freeing. So freeing. Instead, I have to come up with my own original content, which actually like seems less daunting and easier, and possibly a better route to fostering a community and like making those kinds of meaningful connections that I want, rather than just like jumping on trends. But you never know. If there is a sound that I'm like, this speaks to me, I have to do my own thing, I might do it, just because I do occasionally find them very funny. I think we're gonna meet weekly, depending on schedules, because the schedule is looking full on my end, but I will make time. And we will go from there. She said for next time that she's gonna basically put together like a week of content ideas, and then I will do my best to like follow that schedule, and then we'll come back and kind of like analyze how it went as well. So this is kind of fun. And also we're gonna set up a WhatsApp group so I can like send them videos and be like, what do you think? And I love that, because I often do that with my friends Lena and Lucy. Just like, we send each other work stuff and we're like, what do you think? What should I title this? How should I edit this? Like what should the thumbnail be? Or like whatever it is. And so it's also cool to then have like this WhatsApp group just to send them TikToks and be like, what's the vibe? What do you think? Any good? Here we go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, so we're a whole week into this TikTok strategy thing, and I have this whole amazing Google Doc that Kiara and Alice have sent over, which is like them coming up with my strategy, who my primary audience is, secondary audience, like, and then like the personas of people in my audience. Are you a Sarah from Brighton, or are you Lucy from Clapham? Oh my god. So what they reckon my primary audience on TikTok should be is overwhelmed parents who feel lost in their identity. And then my secondary audience are content creators or individuals who have an interest in content creators and want to learn more about the ins and outs of being an influencer. So that's kind of like the behind the scenes of my job, and then there's like the main thing is just like my personal life. And then these are like my 5 content pillars that they came up with for, you know, if I was to really go in on TikTok, this is what I should be doing to succeed. So 1 is old school content creator advice and stories, I guess. So this is kind of like just all of the knowledge that I have built up over the last 13 years of making YouTube videos and doing social media, and also just kind of like a peek behind the curtain of all of my stuff going on with that. And then another one is fashion for mums who are feeling a bit lost. And I feel like this is something that I've been doing already, because I've really been enjoying showing my outfits, but there always is this kind of like, I'm a mum kind of like angle to it, in terms of me like figuring out what the hell to wear, navigating breastfeeding, weaning, and all of that with fashion. And then this pillar is relationships as a mum. Initially, they pitched to me that this would be like romantic relationships as a mum, but I honestly like don't have much to report because it's great. And I know that social media tends to skew quite negative, and obviously like I would always want to put a positive spin on it, but it's like, we went through a rough patch and this is what we did to get out of it. I'm like, we didn't even go through a rough patch, so I don't have stories. But I suggested that this pillar should be more like relationships as a whole, so friendships and family, and then of course romantic relationships, because to me like the whole thing of relationships, not just the romantic and the sexual, is where I'm feeling impacts post baby. And then vulnerable moments as a mom is another pillar, so that's just kind of like connecting a bit more with other mums, kind of like sharing some of the highs and the lows of being a parent. Again, this is one of those ones that I'm like, how much do I want to open up, but also like, do I have that much to share? And where is my line between like wanting to create a genuine connection and a piece of content that people will find interesting or useful versus just playing into what I call vulnerability porn online, where people just love to see people's lives be a bit crap, basically. They want to see people's struggles, and there's lots of different reasons for that, but we kind of like ogling at it. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure where I sit on that and like where my comfort zone is in that. And then this final pillar is content creator tea, and this is another one where it like excites me, but also I'm like, I can't, because like I said, I've been doing this for 13 years. I have some stories. I have some juicy gossip, and I enjoy sharing them with friends and other content creators. Will I blast it on TikTok? No, I don't know. This is more just kind of like sharing some more kind of like juicy moments and like behind the scenes things. Again, I don't know. There's some stories that I'm like, oh, that's a great story. Will I ever tell it? Can I tell it? I don't know. I can completely see how if I like fully went in to all of these pillars and like made content around it, like that would be a very successful TikTok. And it does feel quite cohesive, even though it's got like content creator, like businessy side, and then like mum personal side, because obviously it's my life. So to me, those things are really interconnected and it makes sense. But even just still looking at it as like a TikTok brand, like personality brand strategy, I'm like, yeah, I would follow this account. This sounds great. It's just more in the execution, but also the willingness to execute, especially because there's a couple where I'm like, I don't know what my comfort zone is. So we shall see. It's all going to be a big experiment. I keep on saying experiment in this video. Experiment. So then the last time that I spoke to Kiara and Alice, they took me through a week of suggested content, and I actually already had some drafts filmed, but what they helped me do is figure out like the hooks, which is so useful because apparently you need hooks on TikTok. So you need like a verbal hook that you say at the beginning, but then you also need like the on-screen hook, which is essentially like the title. And so I'd already filmed these things, but then they helped me figure out what the like on-screen hook needed to be. And so I've been posting a bit more this last week and also sharing them on my Instagram as well, which I wasn't sure about at first because I was like, oh, I'm making these specifically for TikTok now. Like, do I put them on my Instagram as well? Like, I don't know. But it is actually really interesting sharing them on both platforms because the vibe in the comments is very different. Basically, I think because I'm like building a whole new audience on TikTok, or it's an audience of people who like maybe were aware of me like 10 years ago and are like, oh, this girl. Whereas on Instagram, like, I'm losing followers over on Instagram, which basically means that the people following me and the people engaging with me on Instagram are more and more just like cemented as part of my community. I'm not like growing on Instagram anymore. I'm not reaching new people. Whereas on TikTok, I'm potentially reaching new people, which means that the comments sections are quite different. Like, TikTok comments are just a little bit more biting. And it's not that they mean ill, but they just don't mean well. Whereas my Instagram comments, they mean well. There are good intentions. And you know, I've been on the internet for 13 years. I've been making content online for 13 years. I'm fully aware of what comment sections can be like. And to be honest, it's not even been that bad on TikTok, but it's just the subtle differences, you know, like I can feel it. But there are two sides with having done this for so long. One is like, yeah, I get it. I expect it, like, I know this, like, whatever, it's fine. But then the other side of me is just like, fuck this. I have been doing this for 13 years. I've worked my ass off to create these communities that are a nice place for me and a nice place for everybody else who is like part of those communities. We kind of all get each other. Like, I have put in the hours. I have put in the hours to go back to then just people just like not quite getting it. And so to me, it's just like, that's just not what I want in my life right now, which I honestly was not expecting to be a like conclusion that I would have come to, but I am really feeling it. Like, being on Instagram is a much more pleasant experience for me. Being on TikTok, like, and the more that I am on TikTok, is more anxiety inducing. And I got rid of a lot of my work stuff at the end of last year to relieve myself of some of that mental health load. And I've been very anxiety free for the most part of this year. We shall see. I'm gonna stick it out for the experiment, obviously. Also this week, I went to an event at YouTube, this Women of YouTube event, and obviously short form and TikTok and shorts and all of that like came up. But TikTok mostly got discussed as, ooh, what's going on? Is the US going to ban TikTok? And I hadn't really thought about that all that much because, again, experiment. But yeah, that would hugely impact the platform if the US were to ban the app. Like, that is massive. I've honestly not got any thoughts on that other than just like lots of question marks and like, is it even worth trying to do anything on TikTok if it would get banned? But yeah, generally I'm kind of feeling like I do not have it in me to build an entirely new audience on a new app. Like, that actually feels exhausting to me. But that also is not part of my goals going in. Like, my goals were about like a creative outlet and like getting a bit more confident with the app and having fun. So I'm gonna keep those goals in mind and that focus in mind. But that is where we are at. I'm chatting with Kiara and Alice tomorrow to have a look at how this last week of content has gone and like look at the data and the analytics, which I'm very excited about. And then we crack on. And then we just keep going from there. And maybe I try and dip my toe into some of these content pillars that I feel a bit more apprehensive about, kind of like push myself a little bit to see what I am willing to share. But yeah, we'll see. So this afternoon I've got 2 calls relating to social media stuff. Later today I've got my catch up with Alice and Kiara, so that will be interesting to go through like the data and the results of everything that I've posted this last week. Right now I've got a call with Kate from Ziggurat. So they're a like influencer creator management company. They're not my management, but every year for the last, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years, they've hosted this like creator event, and it's like an industry event for creators. There's like talks and panels and like group stuff where we can all like talk and learn from each other, and I've been to it the last 3 years and it's been really, really great. And the one last year I had a one-to-one session with Kate about social media stuff, and she just happened to reach out as like a follow-up. She was like, a lot's changed for you since our last chat, like how are things going? And I was like, do you know what? Perfect timing. So it's kind of cool that I've now like got these 2 experts that I'm talking to. So it'll be really interesting to hear like Kate's take on TikTok and social media in general, and see if there's anything from our chat that I can apply to, you know, this TikTok strategy. But yeah, it's a bit of a coincidence actually that these 2 calls are happening one after the other, but it's good because then I'll be in the social media TikTok mindset, and hopefully we'll get a lot out of these calls. And then in theory, tomorrow morning, I've scheduled some time to film and edit some more short form stuff. And I've got a couple of ideas of things that I want to make. I've got one that's already filmed as well. And then hopefully after these calls, we'll have some more ideas of what I want to post. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh my God, guys, my brain. I just got off the first call with Kate and now I'm like, I need a Facebook strategy. No, Facebook, Kate is very good at Facebook, and it turns out that Facebook apparently after YouTube is the best platform for like monetizing. And if I'm being honest, like revenue streams and different revenue streams is something that is like a priority of mine at the moment, especially because like the last 2 years, mat leave, working part-time, like trying to run this business whilst having a baby depleted my finances quite a bit. And I'm now finally in this stage of this year where I'm like, oh, okay, like I've reduced a lot of my overheads, like money is coming in again, like the bank account is looking healthy, and we're also trying for baby number 2. So I'm also now thinking about replenishing the business savings that paid for my first maternity leave. Basically, I'm like, I just need to save up money for baby number 2. That, I mean, who knows? Fingers crossed, pregnant soon. But honestly, in my heart of hearts, I'm like, I think it's gonna be a while. We'll see. But yeah, so that is kind of interesting to me, thinking about the Facebook stuff, because basically they have media services where you pay them a fee and they will do a lot of like vertical video, like edits of YouTube videos, or just like helping with any kind of like vertical content, and then just like organizing like the posting of it on all different kinds of platforms, so you can have a bit more of a hands-off approach, which feels nice. The other thing we did discuss, but ultimately I think like mentally I don't want, is like going through my sex ed video archive and turning all of them into shorts and posting them on Facebook. But whilst that could be a fun project, and it means that like, you know, there's a whole archive of like sex education videos there, and then like doing the shorts would get new eyeballs on them to like educate new people who haven't seen them before, and then post on Facebook and then monetize or whatever. But my hesitancy there is that I quit that, and I don't know if I mentally want to go back there, because it like, yeah, just like mentally and emotionally, I'm like, oh no, then I'm gonna be like, my head is gonna be back in that space again, even if it is a fairly hands-off project, I don't know. But then the other thing that they could help with is like, obviously as I'm making like reels and TikToks, and then they can help with sticking them on Facebook as well. Or I can just start doing that myself. I need to give maybe I give my Facebook page a little spruce up. We had a look at it, and there's 34,000 followers there, but they are old followers, and not like old as in age, but like old as in like from a long time ago. But yeah, it's interesting. The other thing I wanted to share that she said in terms of like the differences between the platforms, so like, and this is in terms of posting like vertical video content. So Facebook is the place you go if you want to make money from your vertical video content. Instagram is the place to go if you want to be able to successfully like link your audience to other places, like sell them products or services, or, you know, send them to your Patreon, or like whatever it is. Instagram is the best platform to be able to link people to other places. And then, you know what she said about TikTok? It's the place to be to claim your name and brand. So she was like, it's not great. If you're making the vertical content for other places, you might as well post it to TikTok, because if you don't, somebody else will. And so it's just about like claiming, like, I'm in control of my content that is out on TikTok. And that was an interesting take. And in my head, when I'm thinking about like vertical content strategy for creators across all of the different platforms that exist, like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Shorts, it's very overwhelming. People say like, if you're gonna post it, you might as well post it on all of the platforms, but obviously there are different durations. Like Shorts has a limit of 60 seconds, Reels 3 minutes currently, TikTok and Facebook are a bit longer. Anyway, from that chat, I realized that maybe it depends on like what your goals are, like what kind of creator are you, who's the audience you're trying to reach, what are your goals, and then picking your main platform. And so then you make the content with that platform in mind, and then if it can go on others, or it can be edited to then sit on others, then you do that. But you kind of funnel it through. And actually, if I'm being honest, my main platform would be Instagram in terms of vertical content. Obviously, in terms of like long form content, it's YouTube. Hi YouTube, I still love you. But in terms of vertical, it's Instagram. So I should be making Instagram first videos and then just like posting them wherever, because that's like no extra work on my part, but it's potentially monetizable on Facebook, and it's also just like claiming my name and brand on TikTok. Honestly, that chat gave me more food for thought than I was expecting. And the main outcome is like, I need to figure out what my goals are and work backwards from that. Like, I've got my one main goal, which is build up maternity leave number 2 fund. Like that is a primary goal for me at the moment. In terms of my overall business and like time spent online as a creator, as an influencer, honestly, it's just like having fun and like reconnecting with my community, because I'm kind of going back to like why I started YouTube in the first place, which was I wanted to make friends and the community aspect of online. And then obviously like what happens is you get a bit bigger and then like you start interacting less. I had my Instagram DMs turned off for ages because I was like, oh, hell no. And then I realized I was just screaming into the void, and actually what I was craving was like connection and community and being able to like interact with my audience online, because the DMs and the story replies are always so insightful and funny, and I love that part of the like back and forth of social media. So it's like monetizing, creating deeper connections with my audience, and part of that strategy is also through Patreon as well, because that's where I interact with my audience like the most, or in like the most like deep way and the most consistent way. And then of course you've got my whole other freelancing business, like the consulting and stuff for creators as well. So that's also there. Those are my aims. I guess I do know my goals. So then it's like figuring out from my goals what I do. What's my social media strategy based on those goals? And honestly, what I'm realizing is that we're like 2 weeks into this TikTok strategy video, and already I'm like, maybe TikTok is not the right platform for me. Or at least not to be like TikTok first. Anyway, I've got 5 minutes until this TikTok call, so we'll see. This video is turning into something I wasn't expecting, because I'm just like, you're now seeing like the full social media crisis of like, what platform do I post on and how? And like, it's also overwhelming, and it's all well and good if you can afford like media services from a company. I don't even know if I can. Like, it's one of those things where it might be like a big upfront cost. TBC what the rewards would be, if it would be worth that cost. But then I guess that depends on what the goals are. I will say, I enjoy filming the TikToks, but editing them, so that could potentially be something to outsource. Anyway, I need to plug this laptop in, piss, and start this next call. Oh my God, it's so funny how I can go into one call feeling one way and then come out of it like so different. I'm feeling really pumped and excited again. But I think that's because we were really like getting quite nerdy and excited about certain video ideas for me to do, because the ones that I was doing this week, a lot of them were kind of like looking at YouTube analytics and kind of like telling my YouTube origin story. And when you're talking to like two other like social media nerds, and you're going like, this is what it was like on YouTube in 2011. And they're like, what? And I'm like, should I tell this as a story on TikTok? And they're like, yes. So it's probably quite niche, but it's stuff that I'm excited about sharing. And also I'm like remembering like all of these like weird videos that I made in 2011, like when I was first starting on YouTube. And I really like the idea of just like deep diving into like, what the fuck was that? Planning on doing one TikTok that's going to be like looking at the analytics of my YouTube channel the first year that I had it. How much money do you think I earned? I'll tell you now, because the video, if I do make it, will already be up. It was £54 in the first 12 months of making YouTube videos. Amazing. But we were getting very excited about all of the kind of like nerding out about like OG YouTube stuff. And then we were like, hang on, what about the other content pillars? So we've also got some ideas for some of the other content pillars that's around like mum stuff and fashion stuff. But their main feedback, this was good. This was really good. It was like, this is what happened, the views, the engagement rate, and then kind of like would be better if, and then like all of these like easy things that I can do to kind of like improve the content. And the main feedback was that they're too long and I need to edit out all the fluff, cut down the waffle. And honestly, I felt this when I was filming some of them, which is that like, I'm a YouTuber. I talk, I leave in a lot of ums and ahs, because that's very much the vibe on this platform. Like, we've got a long time to spend together here. Like, I imagine this video is very long, but my challenge for this week is when I'm filming these to get them under 2 minutes. So we shall see. But it's so different. Like, the feeling of like filming them and having to be much more concise is out of my comfort zone. When I'm editing them and I'm really, really trimming every single pause is also really out of my comfort zone. Like on YouTube, I just let it breathe. So there's that. And then also my hooks need to be better. But I struggle with hooks in the same way that I struggle with like YouTube titles, because it's like, where's the line between like it being an exciting hook and it being clickbaity and it being like over dramatic for no reason? And so yeah, that feels slightly uncomfortable to me. So it's just about finding a hook that is still intriguing but like feels good, like me saying it out loud and it coming out of my mouth. So we shall see. But yeah, it's funny, I'm like, oh, actually I am really excited about sharing all of these things. But back to the previous chat about like not being TikTok first, like I can still be making all of these videos and obviously just like mostly focusing on posting them on Instagram and then of course like sharing them on TikTok, because why not? But without the like focus of like growing. We'll see. I think a lot of these ideas that we came up with and the content pillars that they came up with for me still very much align with my goals of like reconnecting with my community. But then of course, like my community are on Instagram, but maybe a lot of them are on TikTok, but they just haven't found me on TikTok yet. I don't know. So I think as long as I keep that in mind, and it's stuff that like I can feel myself being like, oh yeah, let's get nerdy about that. Like, let's share that thing. That sounds really fun. Like, as long as I can still like tune into that like feeling, then that feels good to me. And I'm not just doing something for no reason or feeling like I should. Anyway, I need to go pick up Rowan. We'll report back soon. Oh, the other thing was that my engagement rate was lower than they would like to see. So an ideal kind of TikTok engagement rate is apparently 7 to 10%, and mine were sitting around like 3.5 to 5%. So room for improvement. Hello, I'm in a green booth, a green phone booth, because I'm actually at a co-working space today. I was going to be home to like film a bunch of TikToks and stuff, but actually I've got one that just needs an edit and a voiceover, and this will be nice soundproofed booth to do a voiceover in, and they have a terrace here, so I'm kind of hoping I can just be cheeky and go up on the terrace and like film a nice outfit video. We shall see. But I've spent the morning planning a bunch of short form content, so I've actually got like loads that are ready to be filmed that are like part scripted or like outlined, and I've got a rough idea of like the hooks and all of that are going to be. So I've got a ton prepped, but of course I've now spent the majority of my like creation time on just like the pre-production. It's interesting. It's just, everything just takes longer than you expect. And yeah, especially when you're like in a new thing. So I'm like, okay, I just need to pick the ones that I can finish today, hopefully, because I don't think I'll get much time. I might get a bit of editing time tomorrow, but not necessarily filming time. So yeah, I'm going to try and pick some easy ones today, see what I can do, and then we're just going to see how many we get to post over the next week. Ideally three. Let's go. Outfit of the day for weaning your boob-obsessed toddler. We recently weaned my toddler, and this is what I wore every night to get him to sleep without access to the boob. So now I need to pack up and see if we can get on the terrace. People might be up there. We'll see. Hello. So whilst it works in the voice memo app, this situation does not work when filming video on my phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record video on here with this audio and then sync it with the footage from my phone for this outfit TikTok. Like, it's just becoming too much work. So I need to figure out actually a way to get nice mic audio on the phone. Other people do it. It's possible. I just need to ask someone. But I'm kind of bummed out that I can't use this system, because that would be really handy. Recording. Anyone else after they stop breastfeeding struggled to figure out what to wear each day? Not to mention we're in that weird spring transitional weather time, so. All right, it's been another week. I'm about to have my call with Alice and Kiara, and it's gone well this week. I've had loads of fun, like making vertical content, making the short form, long form content. I've still got one more that I've made that I want to post, and then I'm out, and I don't have any, but I'm visiting my friend Mel in Ireland, and so I'm kind of hoping that we can make some fun stuff together. But once again, the comment section on TikTok is weird. For the most part, it's actually been really nice. But my most recent one that I posted about like the co-working space, just spam. So much spam. Loads of different accounts, all commenting, tagging different accounts, like some crossover, but like a few different accounts, just being like, this person helped me make so much money, thank you so much. And this is like reporting all of these comments, and it's so time consuming. And it's so interesting to me, like, why that video? Is it because I was talking about a co-working space, and so like the money businessy like bots like find it? I don't know. Or maybe it's because it was like about sometimes working from home, and so they're like, oh yes, these vulnerable working from home mums, let's get them. Because people be scamming working from home mums. And so yeah, the comments in that one were mad. It was just like delete, 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 delete. But I had one video this week that did really well, which was the one where I was being vulnerable and talking about being a bit lonely as a mum. But also so many people related to it, whether or not they were a mum or lived in London, and it's just kind of about how friendships have changed a lot from being like involved in your friends' lives and living locally to them. Rowan did an amazing video essay recently about this whole thing, like female friendships and female loneliness, and she called it like the catch-up crisis or something, where like you hang out with your friends and you catch up what you've been up to for the last 3 months, but you never actually make new memories together. And we wouldn't need to catch up if we were actually involved in each other's lives. Anyway, been thinking a lot about that, because that really resonated with a lot of people. And I'm like, one, can I help? Can I use my platform to like help bring people together in their own local communities? And two, can I make some more content of my process of trying to actually connect with more people and make friends in my local community, but then also attempts to stay in touch better and have like better friendship experiences with the friends that I already have but don't see as often as I would like.
I feel like TikTok is in its YouTube era right now.
Yeah, it's just like sit and chat, but it's like really basic stuff.
My FYP is just full of like chatty videos, whereas 6 months ago it was definitely more full of like activity-filled videos.
Hi, look at all this yellow on yellow. Had 2 calls with Alice and Kiara since the last proper update. So the last call that we had was really great. We chatted about my big hit video that I had, the one where I was chatting about loneliness as a mum, and yeah, a lot of people seem to really resonate with that, which was really nice. And I think that might be my best performing TikTok that I've had so far. You know, people love the vulnerability. We love it. And the other news from last week was that my engagement rate was up. I love other people doing the data analysis. But the other thing that they talked me through last week, which was really interesting, and I haven't had a chance to take a look myself, was competitor research. So this is where they have a look at other TikTok accounts that are kind of similar to me or adjacent, doing sort of the same stuff, and take a look at what they're really good at, what their strengths are, and then what they could be better at and what their weaknesses are, and then figuring out like what I can learn from that in terms of my own content. So I've got like a list of like 4 or 5 creators that I want to like have a proper look at their TikToks and like see if we can get some inspo and like see how they're doing things. So that's fun, because also like my For You page isn't exactly what I want it to be. It's still very chaotic. So I'm hoping like maybe if I watch some of their videos as well, it'll like start to kind of actually curate a bit better. So that's gonna be fun. And then today, honestly, one of my biggest takeaways was the fact that Alice showed us how to set your For You page to auto scroll. Honestly, I think this is going to be life-changing, because sometimes I like doing something else whilst I've got TikTok on and I'm not holding my phone, but then the same TikTok just like repeats and repeats and repeats, but I'm doing something else so I can't get over to it, and it's just so infuriating. But basically, if you go on your For You page and you just hold down on the screen and then some options come up and you just click auto scroll. Apparently it's not available in every location, in every region, but if it is for you, and that sounds like something that you would want, I'm just passing on that knowledge. Then we just looked over last week's content, which wasn't really as poppin' as previous weeks. It's really interesting to see the difference on TikTok and Instagram, because I pretty much post everything on my Instagram reels as well. And the video where I'm like, hey, we're all lonely here, make friends in the comments, like That did not fly on TikTok. No one really cares. That I don't really have a community on TikTok. But on Instagram, as of recording this, that video's got like 690 comments. And I've been looking through it, and there are people like getting to know each other and like making local connections of like people who live in the same city or town as them. And I'm just like, yes, yes. So I really do have like a big community thing going on Instagram, which I love. Like, we had a look at the analytics of that reel, and it shows you the like ratio of followers to non-followers who see stuff. And basically, if you want to grow on any social media platform, you need to be reaching non-followers, because then you will convert those non-followers to new followers. That reel of mine was like 93% followers. Like, my stuff doesn't really get shown outside of my like existing audience, but I like that. I'm very happy with that. As we've established, I'm a bit scared of like growing on social media again, but I'm really here for just like deepening connections and having a fun community. So we looked at last week's content a bit. The main feedback is just the hooks. Like, the kind of like format that they say is really good is by having like a verbal hook, like something that you say that is like intriguing. It's basically like the YouTube video title or like thumbnail, like the thing that gets people like to stay and watch. And then you also have a visual hook, which is like the text or the title or whatever on screen. And I'm just really bad at this. And I'm bad at YouTube titles as well. So it's all the same thing. Like, you really have to like ham it up, and you have to like add like more drama and be a bit cheesy in a way that like I'm not comfortable with. So it's interesting when they're like, oh, you could say this as a hook, or like this would be a better hook. And then I'm immediately like cringing at those hooks. And I'm like, ugh, it doesn't feel very me at all. So like, I had a hook that was like, no mum guilt here, which I liked that hook. It felt like powerful to me, maybe a bit intriguing, but also just kind of like, it is what it is. It says what it says. And then a suggestion was just like something around like, I'm going to mummy prison for this, but, and I'm like, I could never write that. That's just so not me. So it's really interesting trying to figure out like where my personal kind of line is between like stretching the comfort zone a little bit to like try and push myself to create good hooks, but good hooks that still feel authentic to me. And that's really hard. That's really, really hard. And then Kiara also then came up with another week's worth of content ideas, and we chatted through those. We came up with some new ones, we amended them. She helped figure out hooks again, and like structure and like style and stuff of them. So I've got a lot to be getting on with, and basically for me, I think tomorrow, other than one call, is going to be like a big short form content creation day. I've got a sponsored reel that I need to make, and then basically as many of these TikToks that I can, and then that's my week done basically, and then it's my weekend. But then Monday again, I've got more time to do some more. So it's going to be interesting once this like thing is over with them to see like how much I keep this up, because having these weekly check-ins with them is definitely really helpful for like accountability and ideas. It's, oh my God, just having somebody else come up with ideas for you and then being able to like chat with them and bounce ideas back and forth and like figure out, you know, like what you're going to say exactly and things is so useful. Like, oh my goodness. So it'll be really interesting to see after this, you know, how I fend for myself, because we're like over halfway now. Ideally, I want to be in a bit of a rhythm with it so that I can get going with it by myself. Realistically, in my head, I'm thinking I am going to struggle unless I can think of a really solid reason why. Like, you know, like figuring out my goals. And actually, it's good timing as well, I think, because when our work together comes to an end will be around the mid-year mark, and that'll be when I'm reflecting on my like goals that I set at the beginning of the year. And so it'll be a good time to figure out like, okay, is this something that I want to continue doing and dedicating time to each week? Like, is it worth it?
Like what is worth it mean to me as well? Like what is the desired outcome to make it something that I want to prioritize? Anyway, that's all for this update. Hope you enjoyed Yellow on Yellow. We'll see what happens next. Is she gonna get 10k followers on TikTok? Is she gonna have a viral video? Is she just going to be like a happy OG YouTube creator, just doing her thing and starting her new consultancy business, just hanging out, having fun with her existing community? Or is she gonna be famous on TikTok? I know which one I would prefer. This whole thing has been a lot of ups and downs. Like in terms of my mood and enthusiasm for this project. And I'm currently in a lull. I'm currently in a don't care. And I feel like we saw me in a bit of a like near the beginning, and then recent weeks it's been like, oh, this is exciting. And now I'm just back to like meh. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that content this week hasn't done as well, but actually like that part isn't really bothering me. I actually got quite lucky in that I hadn't really made much myself. But I went to visit my friend Mel and she made some really great reels. She doesn't have TikTok and I was like, can I just post them on my TikTok? She was like, sure. And they've all done amazingly on Instagram, like with the collaborator tool of posting on both of our profiles, but they just don't hit on TikTok. And then the other thing is the video that I did where I'm encouraging people to make friends in the comments as a follow-up from the video all about like being lonely and motherhood and stuff that got a really beautiful response. As I kind of expected on Instagram, amazing. There's like, last time I checked, over 800 comments on that video. It's insane. It's incredible. I've had messages from people telling me about like new friends that they're making and plans that they've got to like do cool stuff together. And I'm like, I love it. But that's all on Instagram because that's where my community is. I don't have a community on TikTok. And so that video is just like nothing on TikTok. And then I've also had like my worst performing video on TikTok this week, which is like the vlog from when I went to Ireland to visit Mel. And again, that's done really well on Instagram, but like it's my worst performing TikTok that I've ever had. And it's like not a bad vlog, but it's just TikTok just doesn't like it. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's just too niche. No one cares about me going to visit my friend. Which is fair. So that's just kind of like whatever. The other thing is that I now need to film some more things because we've got lots of ideas that last week when I was talking through them with Kiara, I was getting very excited about a lot of them. And then this afternoon is when I've got time to film them. But I'm in that stage of like the content creation workflow where you have nothing to post and you need to like do the thing and make the content, and then I'll be in the position where you've got lots of bulked content and you're like, okay, good, I'm good for like a week. I just think that like, yeah, I've been used to making like a YouTube video every week and being on the YouTube hamster wheel, but like the TikTok like Reels hamster wheel is like a whole different beast because you need to be posting like multiple times a week, and like some are really easy to make, others like can be really like deceivingly time consuming to make. So I need to kind of like get myself out of this funk to like get motivated just to film some stuff. But that always happens when it's just like, I make a bunch of stuff, I'm really excited, and then I'm like gradually posting it all, and then I run out of steam and I run out of motivation and I've got nothing left to post. And that's where like having some sort of like routine and having some sort of system with producing this kind of content would be really useful, because then you're not relying on that motivation, you're not relying on being in the mood, it's just something that like you do. But I'm also realizing that it's like taking up so much time, and in terms of like my business goals, like it's getting harder and harder to justify the amount of time that I'm spending on it. Obviously I'm doing it for this video and for this experiment, which is good because then we have information that we can then make informed decisions on. But I'm starting just to kind of be like, oh, is this worth it? Because I've had to push back for months and months now, actually working on my website and updating my website to reflect the work that I'm currently doing, to kind of like get more clients or like start building more of that side of my business now in terms of the like creator consulting and coaching that I'm doing. And the other thing is that since I finished doing the Artist's Way book, and I was like, oh my God, artist dates have changed my life. I love artist dates. I've not done any. Like I've still done like leisure stuff, but it's not been like structured in the way that I've had artist dates. And I think it's because I'm filling up so much time with having to create fucking short form content.
So it's just interesting, and I can kind of feel the funk. I can feel the, oh, I'm not doing this thing that like, I did this one experiment and the outcome was I was like, oh my God, this one thing is amazing, I love it. And now I'm doing this other experiment that has like eaten into that time that I would have been dedicating to this thing that I love, to now doing something that I sometimes love, as we've seen from the mixed emotions that we've been getting, but it's just less consistent. And then the other reason why I'm in even more so of a funk like right now in this moment, is because literally before picking up this camera, I went through all of the like competitors that Alice and Kiara had like identified to like check out their TikToks and like see what kind of stuff that they're posting, and I'm so uninspired. And like, I'm not saying this as somebody who thinks my content is particularly inspiring. This isn't like what I'm making is so much better. It's not like that. Everyone's just got a personal taste in terms of the kinds of people that they want to follow and the kinds of content that they enjoy. And also so much of what I'm making is personality driven. So there is also this element of like, I don't know these women, and so it's harder for me to like get invested in what they're talking about, because this is literally like my first introduction to them. I'm like, there was like one woman who I was just like, oh, this is kind of interesting, because there was like some small business that she had, and I was like, oh, the behind the scenes of that is really interesting and cool, but I'm not interested enough to like keep watching. And I get where Alice and Kiara were coming from in terms of picking them as like my competitors. If I were to become like a mum talker, if I were to like, you know, go full into mum talk, these would be like similar people, or yeah, just others in that same niche. And I'm like, I don't like it. I don't relate to Primark hauls. I don't relate to filming my children's faces. I don't know. Obviously it's not like a perfect comparison, but I don't know. I don't know how to describe it without it coming across as really mean. Other than like, when you think about people that you're friends with, there are people that you want to be friends with, and there are people that are just like, you're not gonna vibe with. You're just too different. Am I coming across as a dick? I don't know. I'm sure they're all lovely people, but yeah, it was an interesting example for me in terms of like content that doesn't interest me, or content that like I don't want to be making, in terms of like what it was about and the style of it. I don't know. The style of it was fine. The style of it was quite similar to what I do, I guess. I don't know. It's tricky. And so now I'm just feeling like I'm having a bit of an identity crisis and feeling a bit lost. Because I'm also like, is that the kind of content that I'm making? Am I making content that I would find dull if I didn't already know and like me? You know? Anyway, now I need to make some things. We'll see if I come out of this funk and go into like, isn't it exciting? I love making short form vertical content by the end of this 8 weeks, because we're almost there. I think we're on like week 7 now. So let's go. Let's finish this. Let's see how we're feeling at the end. The normal camera on your phone is better quality than the front-facing camera on your phone, but it can be very difficult to film with the normal camera because then you can't see what you're doing, especially if you're just like doing like, hello, talkie, talkie, talkie. So this is my workaround. This is what I've come up with. So here's my phone. This is the situation. And then down here, I've got my iPad camera on, so I can kind of see, oh God, hello, there's my forehead, hi. So I can like roughly see what's going on in the camera, like that. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this where you can actually get like an external monitor for your phone, but this is my current way of filming with the better camera without being able to see what the hell I'm doing. Since making that video, I have had a lot of lovely people reaching out and offering some ideas of how to make local friends, and this is important information I wanted to share with you. Those talky ones that have failed that need to go up so that they can be edited in there. Just got off the call with Alice and Kiara. I wanted to share with you some of my notes. So first, we did a post-mortem on the island vlog that got like 600 views. saw very low, and the thing that they said to look at is the percentage of like where views are coming from, if it's like the For You page or your followers, and it was like 60 something percent from the For You page. And to them, they're like, yeah, that means that it's just not being pushed. It's not going on the For You page at all. Like if it's being pushed on the For You page, it should be like above 95% For You page. And so this might be interesting to some people in terms of like why they think that that video just like did not perform very well. So it wasn't a very good hook, and the hook that I used was one of those like POV hooks, like POV this, and those POVs tend to work better if it's like a 12-second, like a really short clip with a trending sound. Like that's how that works. They don't really work very well for vlogs. And then the other thing was just like a lack of story. And this is one of the things that I struggle with, because this, when it comes to crafting a vlog, like you film what you're up to, but then for it to work on TikTok, you need to like find the intriguing, curious, shocking thing that happens midway your vlog and then tease it at the beginning. But that's difficult if nothing happens. And so the thing that I struggle with is like trying to figure out what the most interesting thing is that deserves a tease or deserves a hook, and like how to like elevate something that feels quite mundane to be like, I can't believe that this happened, or like, you'll never guess what happened next. I don't know. It just doesn't feel very me, and I struggle with it. Like, it's just such a different ball game to doing like a vlog on YouTube, which is cozy, which is chill. It's like grab a cup of tea, get comfy, like we're in. Whereas this is like, there needs to be something spicy that's gonna keep people watching for the rest of it. And there needs to be some sort of payoff. It can't just be chill. I don't know, it's hard. And then there were some other interesting things that they talked about in terms of like how some people will like test hooks on Twitter, like post multiple different tweets and then see what performs best, and then use that to then inform what the hook is going to be on TikTok. And because they've like tested all these different variations on different platforms, then they can basically like guarantee that it's going to pop off and it's going to be viral. And I'm like, respect, but no, I do not have the time or the energy. Like, I don't care enough to do all of those mad experiments. And then we were talking about Instagram as well, because the vlog that did really poorly on TikTok did well on Instagram, but that's because I've already got the community there. And they mentioned that Adam, whatever his name is, Adam Mosseri, who's the CEO of Instagram, the thing that he says is the main thing that helps with like views and metrics is sends. So this is people sending a post in DMs, and that is the best metric in terms of if then Instagram will, you know, the Instagram gods will look favorably on your content. So it has to be something that like inspires somebody to go, oh, I want to send this to my friend, which is kind of interesting. The other thing that we talked about, which I haven't been doing at all, is like TikTok SEO, because I thought no one really looked at the captions. So I have not been bothering with like the captions. I just kind of like put whatever comes to mind, but it's just not really anything. But that is where the TikTok like SEO, like metadata comes in. So the important thing is about like letting TikTok know what the video is about so that it can serve it to the right people who want to see it. So having a few more keywords in the captions and 3 to 5 hashtags apparently. Although, do you know what? By the time you're seeing this video, that may well have changed. And then the other trick was to add text onto the video itself, like in TikTok, that is metadata, that is like keywords or whatever, but then like swipe it all the way to the side, so it's like it goes off screen so you can't see it. And I'm like, wow, just so many things to think about. I remember when I used to really care about YouTube metadata, and now I'm just like, I just want to have a good time, you know? And then we were kind of like looking big picture, not just at like the content I posted in the last week, but like overall since I started working with them, and kind of realizing that the ones where I'm like talking on a topic to camera seem to be the ones that like perform best. And so like trying to like lean into that more. And then we talked about the fact that I just wasn't vibing with any of the people that they pulled out as competitors for me. And they were like, totally get that. And so it was about like trying to figure out who are the creators on TikTok that do make content that inspires me and that I want to do more of. And the first person that came to my mind was Chelsea Fagan.
I love her TikToks when I do see them. I've not seen them all, but the ones that I do see, I'm like, yes. I think she's very concise. She has really interesting ideas. She is not afraid to kind of like have unpopular opinions, and all of them are really casual. They all look like she's just like lounging on the sofa, just like holding the camera. I don't know if it's like filmed in selfie mode or whatnot. The only annoying thing is that she doesn't caption any of her videos, so I always have to turn the sound on, but she's the only person that I can think of. And so maybe I need to like hunt down some other TikTok creators that I'm like, oh, I actually like their videos and I find that inspiring. Like in terms of as a creator, I don't know, it's tricky. I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I need to be spending more time on TikTok. And then also like figuring out what kind of style I like creating the most as well. Like the talking to camera bits, vloggy bits, and also just like the general vibe is that outfits don't do well. They were saying that even like very well-known like big fashion creators, it can be hard to like have just an outfit of the day video like pop off because it's just not really like adding value. So there we go. I have a headache and I need to go pick up Rowan from his childminders. But that's me update. I'm working in the co-working space again today, and I've got lots to catch you up on from the meeting that I had with Alice and Kiara yesterday. But actually, I just got off a call with my friends Lucy and Lena, who are also creators, and we do these like quarterly like business clubs where we like bring problems we want to work through and things we want to chat about with each other. And one of the things that I brought to the table today was, what do I do about like my short form content after I finish this video, after I finish working with Alice and Kiara? And the main thing that came out of it was just about what my goals are with it. Like, what is the aim? What is like the end goal? What is the point of it? And then working backwards from there in terms of figuring out what the plan is. And I think for me, still one of the most driving motivators is the like creativity and community aspect of it. Like those are the things that I'm always coming back to. And the other thing was that they were very nice about the content that I've been making, and they were like, it seems to be really working for you and it's like really good. And yeah, they just said nice things. They're like, wouldn't stop it. Like I said, we're not stopping it. We just need to figure out, I think, a more sustainable way of producing it, because at the moment, if I'm going to make 3 a week, that takes a day. It doesn't take a day all in one go. Like I might do like some filming for a whole morning and then I might edit for a whole afternoon. But essentially, because I work 4 days a week, it takes up 25% of my entire working time doing just social media content, which I don't get paid for. Like, granted, obviously there's like a bigger picture here with the community building, with just like having a presence online and the opportunities and stuff that can come from building and connecting with an audience online. But I'm starting to be like, I think that's too much of my time, and I would like to have a bit of that time back to focus on the like creator consulting side of my business. So my mission is to come up with a bit more of a plan for like reducing the amount that I'm making and figuring out how to make it more sustainable whilst also like still holding on to the things that I really love about it. The other thing that I noticed whilst I was on the call with them, because I had opened up my Instagram to like just see what was going on with it, because obviously I've been posting all of these videos on Instagram and on TikTok, and if they're under 60 seconds, then they go on YouTube Shorts as well. But in the last 30 days, and this, you know, this could change and it probably will, but in the last 30 days, my followers on Instagram has actually increased overall. More people have followed than have unfollowed in the last 30 days. And this is the first time I think that I've been in the green like since I came back from my maternity leave, which is like 2 years ago. Look at that. But if we look at the last 90 days, which the last 90 days gives you a better indicator of like overall trends rather than last 30 days. But as you can see, something has changed. Something has changed in the last few weeks. Again, it is very likely not a permanent thing, but I just noticed that. Interesting. Anyway, I've got a call with one of my clients now, so I'm going to do that, and I will probably do a big old update on the last call that I had with them, because there's lots to discuss tomorrow. But I feel like as I'm coming to the end of this journey, I'm getting some priorities straight. I'm starting to like figure out like what it is that I really want, rather than just letting like the whims of all of these platforms and the pressures of feeling like you have to do and be all of these things on social media drive me. I'm trying to figure out what my own internal motivations are, and I think I'm getting there.
Okay, let me update you on that last meeting because I feel like we had some breakthroughs. But first, the stats. My engagement rate seems to still be sitting at around the 3% mark, which isn't bad, isn't great. Honestly, I kind of don't care. Some things we talked about were some like additional things, some tips of things to do just to kind of like push some videos just like slightly over the edge from like good into like better. And that's just kind of stuff like adding more pictures and visuals and b-roll to kind of like keep it interesting so people like with short attention spans don't just immediately swipe, because you've got to like hold people's attention, and keeping it tight, not going off on tangents, but also keeping the emotive stuff in, which in one of the videos that I did recently, which was like listing off all of the different like tips that I'd received about how to make local friends, I did go off on a bit of an emotional tangent that was more like specific to me and like how I go about things and how it makes me feel. And I ended up cutting that because I was told to like keep things concise, but then apparently the more emotional stuff is like better, so you can't win. But on the kind of like emotional stuff, this is one of these places where I just kept coming up against like my own internal like boundaries in terms of what I felt comfortable with, because one of the biggest pieces of advice that they had in order to like grow on TikTok was the more kind of like emotional, vulnerable side of things. What they've discovered like works on TikTok is like in a few different categories. One is it entertaining? So that's kind of like the comedy side of things. I don't think I'm gonna fit into that. Is it controversial? People fucking love a good controversy. Is it educational? Is it like teaching them something? And then does it have this like emotive, relatable, vulnerable element? And that's probably more where my kind of content would sit, but I have limits on how much I'm willing to comfortably share. And this is something that I think about a lot in terms of like vulnerability porn, of just like digging for stuff to share that is slightly vulnerable for views doesn't sit well with me. Like that feels kind of gross. And so whilst I'm happy to share aspects of my life and things to be like, hey, like, is anyone else feeling this too? Especially kind of what I've been doing a bit of in terms of like friendships as an adult and as a mum and things like that. But it has to be stuff that like comes naturally to me and that I'm excited about sharing. I don't want to be like, right, what hard thing in my life today do I want to like get vulnerable about and put on the internet? Like that's not what we're doing here. And then the other big piece of advice was about the hooks and just trying to create a bit more like curiosity, drama and intrigue with the hooks. And again, I just keep coming up and being like, that's just not me. And so I asked them, I was like, okay, considering my personal boundaries in terms of what I'm comfortable with, what feels authentic to me to share, and the way that I would naturally phrase a hook rather than like trying to like trick people into watching, what would you recommend? Like what can I do? And this is where I feel like we really made the breakthrough, which was just accepting that what I'm doing is not chasing numbers, and in doing things the way that I want to do them, that I feel comfortable with and that is true to me, that's not necessarily always going to be metrically successful. But if what I'm saying is success is that I am happy and comfortable with what I'm sharing and I'm having fun and I'm getting to connect with my audience and make things that people like, even if it is a smaller group of people, then that is success to me. I want to enjoy making content for social media, and it has to be mentally sustainable. And so I'm really glad that we got there and established that, because now I feel like whenever there's advice thrown at me and like, this is how you get big on TikTok and this is how you can like increase your views, I can just be like, I'm good. And I can just take or leave whatever information feels relevant to me and feels like it is worth it to me, rather than like constantly feeling subpar and that I'm not doing enough. So that feels good. That feels good. And I don't know, does it take 13 years of being a content creator to get to the place where you like finally come full circle and you're like, fuck the numbers, I'm just gonna do this for fun? But speaking of numbers, she says, just because it's interesting and not because it's any kind of like metric of success that I'm necessarily going to be using going forwards. But since working with Alice and Kiara, my average views on TikTok have gone up. So in March, my average views were apparently 8,620 views per video. In April, the average was 11,387. And then in May, the average was 15,385. So my average views has been going up. So to me, that just shows probably that I'm posting more, but also that I'm getting better, and like the things that I am comfortable doing and the changes and the tweaks that I am able to make and the advice that I'm happy to take on board is working, even if it's not like masses difference. Because I think it was something like, I think I've gained like 800 followers since working with them as well, which is a lot in terms of the percentage of followers that I already had, but not a huge amount, and definitely nowhere near hitting the 10K mark where I'd be earning any money from posting on TikTok. So I will say, like, TikTok is hard. It's a whole other beast, and it has helped having people ask questions to and give you advice on what the hell to do. But I do feel confident now that I like know what I'm doing within the parameters of, yeah, what feels right for me. And that isn't going to mess me up psychologically. We'll see. The other thing that they suggested in terms of increasing the followers on TikTok was to create content that is exclusive to TikTok. Because at the moment, I post all of that stuff on Reels on Instagram as well. And if it's under 60 seconds, I'll also pop it on YouTube Shorts. So there's really no reason to follow me on TikTok if you're already following me on Instagram, which is where most of my audience are. And as soon as they were like, oh, what could you do that's like just specific to TikTok, I'm just like, oh, that seems like extra work. Like, I don't want to. Because if I'm making something, then I feel like I just might as well post it everywhere. The only thing that I can think of that I would be happy to share on TikTok, but nowhere else, because Instagram does still feel like slightly more curated, is just like ad hoc jumping on random TikTok trends that involve like filters and like just taking part in silly trends and things. So that's the only thing that I'd be like happy to do on TikTok that I wouldn't post elsewhere, but that shouldn't really be included in like a TikTok strategy. That's just more like using the app and having fun with it and just like taking part in the silly games that people do on the app. I don't know. All of this being said, the app could get banned in America. But I have one more session left with Alice and Kiara and a bunch more content to make. In the meantime, let's go. Let's do it. Okay.
It is week 8, the final week, and I've got my final call with Kiara and Alice in a couple of hours. Instead, normally I would space out my uploads, but I wanted to have like as much content out for us to look at and analyze before the call, before I no longer had them anymore. And so I just uploaded 3 videos this week, like one day after the other. Although one of them was a long one, so I only uploaded that one onto TikTok. And I've seen people uploading videos longer than 3 minutes on Reels, and I don't know how, because my limit is 3 minutes. It used to be 90 seconds, now it's 3 minutes. I'm like, I don't know if they'll increase that, who knows. But coming to the end of this TikTok experiment, and I'll be honest with you, I feel like I have learned a lot. I feel like short form is way less scary to me now. Like, it was this like overwhelming thing that just made me freeze because I just like didn't understand it and was scared of it. And now I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing if I do it. And I am going to continue making the short form videos because I have been enjoying them. The thing I need to figure out is like how much of them I want to be making, because 3 a week, I think I don't want to be doing, because I can feel myself at the end of this 8 weeks just being tired. Like, I've got none ready to go now. I've put them all out early so that we can analyze them together. And then honestly, I'm gonna try and take a bit of time off creating them, or like just not have a schedule anymore. I don't know, we'll see. But it's interesting to me that I've come to the end of this journey rather than feeling like, okay, great, like I'm ready to go, I've got all of these ideas, like let's go. I'm like, okay, I need a break. Like that was a lot. And I think I've realized that I don't want that. I want like a scaled down version of it. So we'll get there. We'll get there. So last week I had my final meeting with Alice and Kiara, and hopefully at some point this week they will send over to me like my TikTok wrapped of the time that we were working together with like data and stuff. So very excited to get my hands on that and go through all of the numbers. But for the most part, I feel like we made most of our like mental breakthroughs in our meeting in week 7, but there was like one nugget of advice that they gave to me in the last session that really helped. And this is something that they told me like right at the beginning, but I'd forgotten, which is basically like on TikTok and short form, maybe social in general, to center the viewer rather than yourself, which, you know, as a OG YouTuber, that's not what I'm used to. Everything's just like how I do this, my routine with this, like da da da, especially like in the lifestyle content. But in centering the viewer, you just kind of change all of the I's and me's to you's. So for example, with one of my videos where it's just like how I deal with views going down as a content creator, it would be like, how do you deal with it? Or like, does this ever happen to you? Da 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 da. And that was actually a really helpful like framing for me, because I've been struggling with like not wanting to go all like over dramatic in my hooks and things, but just the simple kind of like, okay, how do I change this I to a you? How do I center the viewer instead of centering myself in this? That's an easier switch for me. That's like an easier thing for me, that I can still have it in my tone of voice and it still feel like good for me, but with that one little change, hopefully be able to like connect and relate to more people. And the other thing that they said, which I just thought was very funny, was that basically for things to do well on TikTok, they have to be really simple. And if something is overcomplicated, it's just too much. And like, their words, not mine, but people on TikTok are stupid. And I was like, what? But not necessarily the people, but maybe it's like the culture on the app. I don't know. But it is interesting. Like, you need like a simple concept that is really easy to understand and grasp so that it kind of like appeals to the masses, I guess. But if your concepts are too complicated, or if you're trying to explain something that is like a bit more nuanced, then that's not going to stick as easily. And I do feel like there's a part of me that knew this, which is why I never really attempted to do short form content when I was doing sex and relationships education, because I was just like, how do I distill this really complex and nuanced topic into 60 seconds or like a couple of minutes? Like, I just can't do the topic justice if I do that without oversimplifying it in a way that in the grand scheme of things isn't helpful. So I'm like, yeah, that's why I didn't bother. Sure, that's the reason that I was just terrified of TikTok. So that is where I'm at. And of course, the first TikTok that I have posted since stopping working with them doesn't follow any of their advice, because I just used a sound that I saw somebody else use for a haircut, and I'd taken a bunch of like clips of me in the salon last week and I just edited them together to the sound and posted that. No hook, no added value, no storytelling, nothing. But maybe people will watch it for the reveal, which is barely anything. Like, I bet you haven't even noticed that my hair has changed. But that was something that I wanted to post anyway. So I'm just excited to now like not be taking it so seriously. Like, of course I enjoy taking things seriously and I enjoy analyzing things, but I feel like now I need a bit of a breather, and I'm just gonna see what happens and post what I like, post whatever I want, and worry about it being optimized when I want to worry about it, and not worry about it when I don't want to worry about it.
Okay, here we are at the end, and Alice has sent me my TikTok unwrapped, and it's a fun little like presentation thing, and I'm very excited to go through this. Okay, look at this. Hannah's TikTok unwrapped. Let's go. Hello, Hannah. It's been our biggest delight to work with you. You're obviously a seasoned and natural content creator with bags of personality, and your adaptation to TikTok has sparkled through all the sessions we've had together. Here we go. Oh, your results speak for themselves. You're amazing. We can't wait to see your content fly over the coming months. Oh my God. Thanks, Alice. Okay. Ooh, love this. Okay. When we met and how you've grown. Okay. So we met March 2024. It is now, at time of recording, June 2024. So I had 5,600 followers on TikTok, and I now have 6,973. A rise of plus 24.5%. Not bad. Still not at that 10K to be able to monetize on TikTok and be part of the Creator Fund, but alas. And when I started out, my engagement rate was around 3%, and it is now 5%. Not bad. Likes. Oh, okay. This must be like total likes, because you can see like someone's total likes, I think, on their like profile on TikTok. So I started out with 20,458 likes, and I now have 38,646. So I got a lot more likes. And average views. So this is average views per video. So it was 8,675. That's still quite a lot. That's like more than I expected mine to be, like pre-doing this. Although I was like posting loads like January, February, so maybe it's from that, not like 2023. But it is now 17,226 average. But I do have the one that is about being a mum and being lonely and stuff in London. That one's got like almost 100,000 views on TikTok. So that's probably bringing up the average quite significantly. But there's definitely some others in there that have got like high views. Oh, exciting. Love this. Ooh, oh my God. Oh, she's given me new objectives, my new 12-month objectives, because at the beginning I set my goals. Oh my God, what even were my goals at the beginning of doing this? Okay, you tell me, what are my goals? Right, so number 1, building personal connections and community via daily life, focusing on being more of a lifestyle influencer than a dedicated sex and relationship educator. Correct. Doing that, growing a new audience on TikTok and sharing your creator background with them. That's the one that I'm still struggling with, is the like, how interesting is the like behind the scenes of the creator life? Like I do a lot of that on YouTube, but it is quite niche. And 3, connecting with content creation and the creative mindset that goes with it. Yeah, that is true. That's very much one of my goals. Ooh, my niche. This is my niche, guys. Navigating life as a new mum and using it as a tool for connection and growth. And then forming new relationships in your new season. Sharing your experience as you transition your relationship and friendships. This is a huge one for me. This has been one of the main themes that has resonated with a lot of people, the friendships thing. And it's definitely something that is like one of the main things that I think about in my spare time when it comes to how I feel like my life could be improved and my happiness be improved. Friendships, but specific kinds of friendships. And my fashion journey. Oh, dopamine shines off you. Let's communicate your happy and sustainable dressing with the world via TikTok specifically. Ooh, my growth strategy. Right, so consistent cross-platform messaging, USPs as a long-time content creator. Like I am an OG content creator, but maybe I have a bit of imposter syndrome as an OG content creator because I started in 2011, but I was watching people who started in 2006. So I'm like, I'm not OG, like they're OG. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Hannah-specific insights and storytelling. Your big meaty strategy document lives here. I already had a peek at that. That's the breakdown of like content pillars and audience personas and like strategy and all of that kind of stuff. Oh, thank you. There we go. That's my TikTok unwrapped. So going forwards, what is my social media TikTok plan? I ideally would like to be posting 2 reels / TikToks per week. I've been doing more than that in the first half of this year, and that's been fun, but I've realized that that is not sustainable for me long term. And so I would be happy with doing 2 per week, but I think it will also be good for me to like not put a huge amount of pressure on myself for it. And yes, I like a schedule, like they help me hold myself accountable and actually like get stuff done when I have like things booked into the calendar and things scheduled and all of that. And so I'll definitely lean into that because that's the way that I work. But if I have to delete stuff or move stuff, I don't want to beat myself up about it. So I ideally want to get ahead of schedule. Currently, the way that I'm working and the reason why it feels unsustainable is that I am making TikToks one week, and then they're the ones that get posted the following week. So every week I'm like, okay, what am I making? What am I going to be posting? Whereas I would like to be 2 weeks ahead so that I only am having to spend like time making short form content one week, and then the following week I've got nothing scheduled in, and then the next week I like do everything for like 2 weeks worth of content, which I think is possible. With just 2 pieces of content per week, that is a half day of filming and a half day of editing, in theory, depending on what the content is. But generally, that's kind of what it is. So spending 1 full day on short form social media content every 2 weeks feels good to me. That like feels aligned with my goals, but also aligned with how I want to be spending my time when I'm working. And my plan is to continue doing it all myself. Yes, I could outsource the editing technically, and I did have that meeting, remember, all the way back in week 3 that was about like outsourcing a lot more of the kind of short form content creation, but I've decided that's just not a priority for me right now, and spending that much more money making short form content when I'll still have to like do reviews and check in, and like it doesn't take the thing entirely off your plate. And so outsourcing all of that editing is probably too expensive for me right now, especially as like my goal with short form content isn't about making money. If my goal was about making money and I had a whole plan of like how I was going to earn loads of money from short form, then sure, that would make sense. But that is not part of the plan or the priorities. So I like kind of doing it myself still. In terms of my goals, they're basically the same, like having fun and connecting with my community. Granted, most of my community is obviously on Instagram, not really on TikTok. And so when I do think about like the hierarchy of my short form funnel, I'm not that preoccupied with making my content like TikTok first. Yes, Alice and Kiara gave me a lot of advice and information about what works specifically on TikTok. But because of what my goals are, it doesn't really make sense for me to be spending a lot of time and energy like optimizing my content for TikTok. And instead, in my head, I'm thinking of it as like, right, the goals are fun and connecting with my community. I'm gonna go on Instagram Reels first, and then I just cross post it onto TikTok. And there are some like strategy things that I'm definitely going to be taking forward. I will still try and add hooks and think about like the structure of the video and the storytelling, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Like, I've never been a perfectionist. I've always been a that'll do kind of creator, and that is the energy that I am going to be bringing to this, because otherwise nothing will get done. I won't post anything, and there'll always be something else that will make it better, and it takes all of the fun out of it. So I'm going to try and package up the content so that it has the best chance of reaching the relevant people, but I'm not going to stress too much about it, she says. And then the final thing is that I'm going to continue using my social media content calendar that I've made in Notion. And if you want to get your hands on it too, there is a link where you can get it, where you can buy it in the description. I'm saying this having not finished updating and editing it yet, but I'm saying it to hold myself accountable, as you will have seen from my mid-year goals video, that I'm gonna do it. So if you wanna get your hands on the social media content calendar that I've been using throughout all this year, that has really helped me hold myself accountable and actually like do the work and post things on social media, like who knew it could work? You can get that below. So there we go. I have finally embraced sort of TikTok. I hope you enjoyed this, what has probably been a very, very long video. Thank you so much for watching. There is no video next week as I am on holiday, but we'll be back with the usual weekly Wednesday at noon videos from the week after. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss them. I hope that you're well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.